Hi, this is Tom Mura with this week's animated drill from World Class Coaching. This is an exercise that I really like. It's really more of a game that I play with players, but I've used it for so many things. It's a great warm-up game. You can work on individual possession. You can work on team possession. It's a competitive environment, so it really drives the players to work hard. It's one that I really enjoy with players of just about any age group. I've done this with players from U8 all the way up to U18. So it's a great environment. So here's how it works. There's a grid that is 10 by 10 or 15 by 15, something in that range, just depending on the age of the players. I'll tend to make it a little bit bigger for the older players. And I'll usually use 2 of those side by side. Now I've laid out 4 here, and I'll tell you why in a minute. I like to have no more than 5 players in each of these grids. So basically we're creating 2 teams in this case of 5 players each. So we'll give them a player each here, and we'll put a soccer ball at the feet of every player. So we've got a ball and a player, and we'll put 5 of those in each group. And so there's a team of 5 here, and then we'll put a team of 5 over here, and we'll make that a different color just so that they can stand out. And you can tell the difference. We'll put them in yellow and create 5 of them over here as well. All right, so we have 2 teams of 5 in 2 grids of 10 by 10 to 15 by 15. Now, the way this works is one person from each group is it. So that person leaves their ball here, comes over on this side. This person will leave their ball, come over on this side. So now the job of this extra player now is to come into this grid, and they're going to try to eliminate each of the players of the other team. So basically kicking the ball of that player out of the grid. The players are trying to keep possession by shielding the ball, by moving it quickly away from pressure, by finding open space in order to keep possession. And so this continues until all of the players are knocked out of one team, and then the other team wins that round. So at the end of that round, you'd come back, you'd pick a new it player, and you'd play the next round. And this is, obviously to begin with, this is the base level of it, and you're working on individual possession. So prior to this, we would have gone over shielding technique, body position, tactics as far as how to keep the ball away from the pressure and where to move it, and how to do the best job of keeping possession individually. Occasionally I'll get odd numbers. You can still do this exercise with odd numbers. Let's say that the yellow team, for example, has 1 fewer player because you've only got 9 players at this training session. You can go ahead and just say whichever player gets knocked out first by the other player then can come back in. And so that would then even out that imbalance of having enough players. So that's just something that we're all faced with from time to time of not having exactly even number. So anytime there's an odd number, you can do that and just have that team with 1 fewer player bring the ball back in. So you're working on individual possession here. Now, the reason I've got 4 grids is, let's say you've got a team of 20 players. So now you want to create that same thing up here where you'll create an entire other team where they've all got a ball each here, and we'll give them a different color just to have them stand out. And you'll create a third group on this side so that the goal here for me is that I don't want to go above 5 players if I can, because then that creates a 4v1. It's a nice amount of pressure to put on the players. It's not too simple for them. They can definitely handle the pressure. But it's not too challenging either, where it's a 3-to-1 or a 2-to-1, obviously. That would be too small, so we don't want to do that. I'll just get another ball here for these players on this side before we create that team. So now we'll create, so basically what we've created now are 4 teams. And so if I'm playing with this many players, and this might be in like a camp environment, or if you're doing it with an older team and you've got this many players in training, now you'll have players from this side then leave their ball and come over and defend the other side. And so you've got those players playing against each other. Next round, you might have yellow go against blue and black go against orange. However you're going to organize that, it's fine. You can rotate it so that, next time orange will go against yellow. So that way the pressure is coming from all the teams. Whichever team lasts the longest, you can say wins that round. You can even give two teams points. So, say the oranges are playing the blues here. Whichever one of these two lasts the longest win, and then whoever lasts the longest down here win. So you're giving teams points based on keeping the ball alive the longest. So that's the reason for having multiple squares. Now, one of the strengths of this exercise, this game for me, is that there's a lot more that you can do with it. And one of the things I'll do next is I'll say, fine, if this black player knocks the ball out of this yellow player and that ball goes out of play, now this yellow player remains in the area, but that yellow player's job now is to connect with his teammates and help relieve the pressure. So if the defender comes to pressure this player, then the ball can be played off to that player. And now we're involving keeping possession more than just individually, but now as a team. And eventually we'll get down to the point where there's only one ball remaining in the area. All the other balls have been knocked out of play. And when the other balls are out of play, now we're dealing with a 4v1 scenario where the players are trying to keep possession and play basically a game of rondo against this one defender. And so now you've gone from individual pressure of one defender on one attacker to now where you're keeping possession 4v1. So you can talk about, body shape of the players, the angles of support of each player, moving to open space when a player receives the ball so that they can then, be helped by their teammates. And so you can talk about all these things within the environment of this game. And so by doing that, you progress it going individual to group, and you'll have it break down where there may be more than one ball still involved. So let's say there are two balls in and the pressure is here from this player, and you'll have this player passing to this player over here. So you can talk about, when to pass, who you need to support. So if you don't have the ball, how can you support the player that's under pressure? So you've got some game awareness here about who's under pressure, who needs help, how can you best help them? You also get into situations where a player is passing the ball because they're under pressure, but maybe they force that pass into the pressure and make it easy for the defender to then knock it out of play. So then you can talk to the player about, okay, if the pass isn't on at that moment, maybe we need to keep the ball. Maybe we need to shield it and hide it from pressure until we can find a pass. Even though we're under a great deal of pressure, we don't want to just give that ball away by passing it into pressure. We turn away and we find the open player away from that pressure so that we don't risk losing possession. So it's a game that just has a lot of flexibility. The amount of pressure that you put on the players is related to who's defending. So you've got, in the initial rounds, maybe the first round or so, you pick your more timid players that maybe aren't going to be as aggressive. That gives everybody a chance to get used to it. Then later on, you say, okay, now you can pick your defender to the team, so the team can pick their own defenders. And they're obviously going to pick the most rabid, aggressive players to go and try to pressure the other team. So now it becomes really difficult for that team to keep possession. And you can talk to the players about, having good pressure on the ball. So you can even make this a pressing activity as well, working on the defender's ability to press the ball over and over and over again and work hard. It's a pretty intense environment for that player who's defending. So you probably you want to rotate them obviously every round to give them a break. But another thing I'll do with this is I'll challenge the players as to how long they can keep possession. So, going from everybody having the ball here to the ball getting knocked out of play, can they keep the ball, at least one ball, alive for 2 minutes? 3 minutes? How long can they do it? So they're not just competing against the other teams, but they're competing against the best result. And maybe the best result is somebody kept at least one ball alive for 4 minutes. And, that is pretty decent depending on the age level you're dealing with. The other thing I'll do is if you're dealing with older players, and this is a bit easy for them, this 4v1 environment becomes just too easy, you can say, all right, we'll nominate a second defender from each group. And as soon as we're down to one ball in each of the groups and it's an easy keep away game, now the second defenders will go over and that will create 3 versus 2. So obviously the pressure goes way up in that kind of situation, and it's going to make it much more difficult to keep the ball, and it's going to end the game sooner if you do it that way. If you have more players in each group, and I've done this before where I've had as many as 6, even 7 players in the group, I try to avoid that many. But if you've got a team, if you've got a team of say 12 or 14 players, then you really don't have enough to make 4 grids because that would just break the numbers down to be too small. So maybe you've got as many as 6 or 7. Then that extra defender coming over creates a 5v2. And so that 5v2 is a good environment, for playing possession and keeping the ball away. So this is a great exercise that I use quite a lot, either as a warm-up or as individual ball possession or as a transition game going from individual to team possession. And you could follow this up with a wider team, a small-sided game that involves more players and more complexity, but still gets down to the same basic concepts of making sure that you have a right, a left, and a split for the player in possession. So you've got good support of the ball, a good ball movement, good awareness of moving the ball to open space. So it's a great exercise to use to build up possession play.